Hello and welcome to Dice Jesters. My name is Julie.
And my name is Dave.
And Dice Jesters is a Merriam-Webster board game podcast where we deep dive into games with curious minds and a jester's grin. We feature 10 by 10 challenges where each season we commit to playing 10 games at least 10 times. And we say at least because you never know. There might be a game where we want to play more than 10 times.
100 times.
All right, we're being a little too optimistic. And speaking of playing a game 10 times, today we'll be discussing Trajan, and it will be facing the trials of the Jester's Gambit as we discuss our experience playing the specific game 10 times and what we had discovered about it. But first, I have a query for the court.
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
Yes. Well, okay, so this is still from the individual last week because he had asked 2 questions in one. So this is Mike from the Korean Meeple on Instagram. And his second question is, does theme or mechanics draw you into a new game first?
Ooh.
So, I guess I'll go first for this because this is a new thing to me. So usually it's theme. The theme draws me in. I'm like, ooh, there's an Alice in Wonderland game that I really want, but don't have. But any Alice in Wonderland themed game draws me in because I like whimsical things. Any odd theme draws me in as well. So anything that's like off the wall tends to draw me in. But not off the wall in, I don't know how to explain it. More so off the wall in like an oddity, creepy way. So, for example, how you want to do a board game with aliens in Egypt. That would draw me in.
Because we know the aliens built the pyramids. The proof is out there.
Oh my gosh, Dave. But, so that would draw me in. But now that I know a little bit more about mechanics, are you ready for this? I'm going to use this appropriately. Rondelles.
Oh.
Right? Those draw me in. You showed me a game, what was it, like last night?
Yeah.
Where you had flipped it over. And you were like, oh, look at this game. And I was like, oh, there's a wheel.
I love rondelles too. And we've jokingly referred to the wheel as the hamster wheel. It goes round and round. Because
every time I saw a wheel, I was like, oh, it's a Dave game. There's your little hamster wheel.
I don't know why I like wheels so much. It's like the cyclical nature or the full circle aspect of playing a game. You know what to expect. You know what's coming around. It's just satisfying. Circles? I don't know.
Circles. It's just a shape without any edges. It's complete. Some might say pizzas are circles.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The sun is a circle?
Is it?
Why did that feel like we're getting into conspiracy theories? First we're talking about the aliens and the pyramids. Now you gave me this gaze. Like,
well, the sun isn't fully circular.
Lay down some truth about the sun that's going to blow your mind.
Well, no. When I look at the sun, it has like all the little explosions on it, so it's not a perfect circle.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Are there flat centers out there? Is that
I don't
a thing?
know. I don't know if that's a thing. If it is a thing, I haven't heard of it. So
rondelles.
Rondelles. What draws you in? The theme or the mechanism?
I would say that's a really good question. I don't think any more mechanisms draw me in because I've gotten to the point where it feels like a lot of games use the same mechanisms, at least in the genres that we play.
Yes.
So if you said, hey, Dave, this is a worker placement game, I'd say, cool. I've played a lot of worker placement games. That's fine. I like worker placement. But what's unique about the game? Like, what's the theme? And I almost think that theme is becoming more important to me. But I would say an aspect that draws me in more than theme or mechanisms is the designer. So if you told me this was an Uwe Rosenberg game or a Stefan Feld game, I would be intrigued. And then if you went further and said, oh, this is a Stefan game with a rondelle, or then I would be, that's like ultra next level. Or if you said, this is a Stefan Feld game with a rondelle about aliens, then that's like third tier. But also, there are some games where the idea or the theme of it has brought me in. Like, I've played Kemet, Blood and Sand. And it's about Egyptian gods, and you're kind of battling on a map. I know it doesn't really fit quite into the type of game that we play, but I do enjoy that. I've wanted to play Ankh, Gods of Egypt, which looks really cool. It has a map with these Egyptian figures and stuff. But I think about First Rat. that's a game where I was
That is
really
your
excited
game.
to play because I love
Sending rats to
rodents.
space. Oh my god.
Hamsters, guinea pigs, squirrels. I love all those little critters.
Hey, we still have people that are saying, let Dave get the hamster.
Everybody wants it.
Okay, not everybody. I'm not saying I'm saying
I'm not included in
there's
this.
a couple people who have said, let him get the mice or the hamster.
It seems like you're actively trying to not pipe it up. Like, Dave, it's only a couple people.
It is only a couple people.
Masses.
No.
You're the one on the social media. I'm barely on there. So I don't see what people are saying. You, on the other hand, are probably withholding information about the volume of requests of people that want to see the hamster enter the picture. So we have Lupin, and we have
Luluman, Sir Lupin, and his familiars, his little friends. But we don't have a hamster. Yeah. No
guinea pig.
No.
Well, anyway, first rat, the theme drew me in because I love space exploration. Games about space I tend to like. Mm-hmm. But the idea of you're playing as rats trying to collect resources in order to build these rocket ships to blast to the cheese moon, and the resources are like bottles of vinegar, there are calculators, there's like really oddball things. So you feel like a rat kind of rummaging through this junkyard trying to find things.
Okay, what happens if it was like a mermaid thing getting to a pirate ship? Would you still like it?
No. Well, I'm cool with that. I mean, pirates, mermaids, but I love space is way up there.
For your themes.
Yeah, that's why I love Race for the Galaxy so much. And
I could make like a theme where there's the planet Saturn, right? And it has rings. And so maybe you're on the rings because the rings are made out of meteors. So those are kind of like what you go up. And you use the worker placement to perhaps settle on the Saturn.
So you said move up the rings?
Yeah,
the ring is the rings
are the rondelle.
Okay,
because the rings around Saturn are meteors, like meteorites or whatever, little rocks.
Yeah.
So that could be part of the rondelle, right? And you're trying to like adventure through there and you want to get the most people into Saturn. Or maybe you have two planets because Neptune also has a little ring. I'm pretty sure it's Neptune. Yes. Neptune or Mercury. One of those two. But anywho, so as I was saying, the rings, you could have two planets and they both have rings, and that's the rondelle. And you're trying to find a break in the other person's rondelle, and that's when you can jump one of your people into their land. I'm onto something.
You're onto something.
I see it. I see it in my head.
Well, we're going to make a game that blends things that you love with things that I love. And it's gonna be scary.
It's gonna be wild.
Very bizarre.
Very like thematic, but then very like Euro.
Yeah, I feel like when you take your imagination in mind, there's this weird thing that happens that you can't explain.
Yes, but then we can make like a cute little party game about bunnies. We could call it Hippity Hop.
Yeah, we can think of. We'll add that to the list of brainstorms. I'm not saying no. There's no such thing as a bad idea.
I know, you're just looking at me, buddy. But okay.
So, Mike's question about theme or mechanisms, I would say at this point theme draws me. I get excited about a theme. Like another one, Anunnaki, a game by Simone Luciani, I believe, and some other designers. So I love the designer group, but then it has this theme where I believe you play as Egyptian gods, but you're settling on some new planet or something. So it has that like ancient Egypt, anything that blends ancient cultures or civilizations with some kind of sci-fi theme. That's like my jam. I love that so much.
And I'm like, let's add fairies.
You can add fairies. That's pretty cool.
You can play it. You could. The fairies are the offerings. You need to capture a fairy to offer. You're like, okay.
There's fairy rings, fairy circles. Okay, but then the fairy circle is the vortex, the portal to the other dimension.
Right.
So we're on to something.
I think so. But yeah, so that's my answer. I guess it's pretty 50-50.
Yeah. Take it or leave it. I mean, any day of the week, it could be a mechanism that sucks us in or a theme or a designer. So it's just whatever we're feeling.
Yeah, whatever feels right. So thank you, Mike, for sending in 2 questions to us. If you would like to be like Mike and send a query for the court in, feel free to either send it to us on Instagram or you can email us. If you do email us, our email is thedicejesters@gmail.com, and in that email just include, if you want your Instagram name to be mentioned or not, or if you just want your name, or if you just want like a made up name. Like maybe you have a D&D name that you go by, like Sage Master. I don't know. Mine would be like Raven.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, a bird name. I'm like, I like crows and ravens. Thank you again, Mike. And that gets us into our 10 games of Trajan. So, we didn't really get into first impressions of the game. We kind of like briefly discussed it in the previous episode just because we wanted to keep everything all together so that it still had feelings from our previous seasons where we discussed beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
And to do that, we took notes. Dave and I got fancy leather bound.
It's really nice. I like having it at the table. I sometimes I've been pausing while we play the game. Like, let me take some notes.
It's
like,
so funny. Down? When you lose, you're like, oh, yeah. So you like the notes are longer.
I have like 3-4 pages of notes for this game.
I have not one complete page of this game.
It's all sitting in your head. But I'm excited to talk about this. And this is Trajan will be our Tales from the Table this week as we talk about how it faced the trials of the Jester's Gambit, which is our 10 by 10 challenge. And we decided to play a game at least 10 times. If we play it a few times initially and like it, so we played Trajan before, we decided this is a game that we want to continue playing. And then since then, we've played the game 10 times. And Trajan is a game by Stefan Feld, which is a Mancala style game where you have a player board and you're moving pieces around, and wherever you land, that indicates an action that you get to perform on the main board. And everything's kind of related together. You can get bonuses, some things let you do additional actions. And this is a game where you're just trying to score a lot of points. There's 6 different things that you can do on the board, each of which has opportunities to score points or get bonus tiles or let you do things. And the scores come pretty close. It's pretty incredible how there's so many things to do. And everything seems to get you points, but then it kind of evens out over the course of the game. But Julie, what were your initial impressions learning the game and in those first few plays? What was that like?
So learning the game, it was pretty smooth. And the reason that it was on the smoother side is because it was kind of like Mancala, where you pick it up and you drop it down, and wherever you land is where you end your move, you know? And if you land a certain way, you get more than one move. I forgot how specifically to play Mancala, even though I pretty recently played it. It's always one of those games where I just need a slight refresher. Oh, it's when you drop your last piece in that longer oval shape one that you get to do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember, but I think that's what it is. So that part made sense. And then the reason that it was pretty straightforward is because when you landed, you would land on an icon, and that icon would match an icon on the board. So then you knew, okay, these two match. So then you just had to learn what each section did. So one was a map, one was little bonus tiles where you could do an extra action, get points with it. One was shipping. Another was the Legion, I believe it was called, right? Is that
the military?
The military? No, the one where the higher up you were.
Oh, the Senate track.
The Senate track. So one was the Senate track. Did I name? No, I didn't name 6 yet. What was the... Oh, and then the other one was the one where you could get special bonuses.
Oh, my favorite.
What was that one called?
The Trajan.
Oh, that was the Trajan?
The Trajan, where you get the bonus tiles that go onto your board.
Yeah. So there was that. So the icons lined up with each other, which made that pretty easy. And then grabbing the tile was pretty straightforward. So the shipping, it showed you if they match, this is what you get. If they don't match, this is what you get. And if you have pairs, this is what you get. The map showed what you got if you went onto that part of the map. So that was pretty straightforward. The other item, when you grabbed a tile, and this one was the little house one.
Oh, the city?
Yeah, the city.
Yeah, you're like building the city, I think.
Yeah, that one, when you grabbed a little city house and then went over to your personal player board showed you what icon you were allowed to do based off of whichever city piece that you grabbed. Then the one directly below the city was the forum, where you get to pick a special tile, and then all of those special tiles aligned with squares on your player board, so you knew where to place them. And then finally, again, the Senate board. And the Senate board was important because you wanted to hopefully be the one further up it, technically like have the most votes, because then you could choose the bonus points for end of round scoring, and the other individual would have to flip it over and only get half those points. So all of that made the game easy to learn. Now, yes, although it was easy to learn, was it easy to play? Yeah, it was pretty easy to play. But doing strategies and figuring out like something tactical was different. So yes, it's easy to pick up play, but figuring out your beginning to end goal is a different story. Which first round, I was just like, oh, this is easy. Like, it's good. It's fantastic.
Yeah, you caught on pretty quick. I think it was pretty easy to explain, and I think what makes this game easy to learn and teach, although it appears at first glance like, oh, this is a heavy Euro game, because there's a lot going on and there's all these tiles, and part of it has to do with how complicated the setup feels, because you have to do a lot of shuffling of tiles, shuffling of cards, setting up pieces on your board. But then when it comes down to it, you're just really doing one thing on your turn. You're picking up your pieces, you're moving them around, and then based on how far you move, then you move up. There's this tracker circle thing that dictates how long the rounds go. And then when you explain each of the 6 actions, when I did that to you, each one of those, what they do on the board is really simple. It's just grab a tile, or you're moving a piece, you're placing a meeple, you're playing cards or drawing cards, or you're moving up a track. That's really it when it comes down to it. Mm-hmm. Each one of those is easy to understand, and the fact that all the icons are very clean. When you land, you know exactly what it does. When you get a bonus, you know exactly what that does. So I think it's a pretty easy game to wrap your head around if you're learning it for the first time.
So yeah, that was my first impression and technically my first play of it. So you want to get into what we thought after our 10 rounds?
Yeah, and for me, I played it a long time ago. I've said for a long time it's been my number 1 game of all time. And so I had my initial impressions a long time ago, but I would say coming into it, having taken time off from this game for several years, and coming back and having played a lot of other Stefan Feld games within our 10x10 challenges, I've been excited to come back to this one. But my, I'll call them new first impressions, because I came in with a really fresh perspective of this game. And just playing it for our first few times, my initial thought was, this game is a lot more tactical than I remember it to be. And back when I used to play this game a lot, I didn't really know the difference between tactics or strategy. But I think because you and I have played a lot more strategic games, I went into this one thinking, I'm going to pick a certain strategy and I'm going to go for that the entire game. And after the first round, that became apparent that the game isn't necessarily about following one specific strategy, but maybe trying to optimize each turn. Like, how do you do the most things within each turn? And it doesn't really necessarily fit into one area of the board. It's just doing the most number of things. So that was my initial impression. Like, this game is more tactical than I remembered it to be. Not necessarily a bad or good thing, but it just changed my approach to how I would play the game.
And can you remind me the difference between tactical and strategic?
Yeah, so tactical is all in the short term. What do I want to do right now to benefit what I'm trying to achieve right now? Okay. Whereas strategy is, for example, if I set out in this game and said, I'm going to ship as many goods as I possibly can over the course of this entire game, that's a strategy. It's something I'm building around. Every turn I make will try to make sense within the context of that strategy that I'm really focused on.
Okay. So what's the difference between luck and not luck? I thought not luck was strategy.
Not necessarily. There can be luck within strategy, because strategy just refers to what you are planning to do. Luck has to do with any mechanisms that the game introduces that add randomness. So like whether it's rolling dice. In this game, the element of luck would be there's the tiles that you draw in between rounds, as well as when you draw the shipping cards. But other than that, when you look at your board, there's nothing that randomizes that. So you can literally plan out every move of the entire game on your first turn if you wanted to.
Can you? Because you have to do all the math for the rondel.
And I guess you don't know what bonus tiles you have on your board because that dictates what colors you move them to. But does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
So now that after we played the game 3 times, moving on to the final 7 rounds of our Jester's Gambit with Trajan, how did your perspective change, or what was your experience like with those games?
First, let me just address that you can get negative in the game, so that's cool.
You did find that out. I had to consult the rulebook.
Yes, you did
Is
have
it
to consult the rulebook.
to have less than 0 points in the game?
So what happened was, in one of the rounds, I wasn't able to fulfill the people's needs. I let the people down. So I got -9 points, and I only had 5 points.
Did you say you let the people down?
I did let the people down. And it put me at -4 points. And I didn't want to go into negative, so I asked, and I was just like, does this game go into negative? And then you looked at the rule book and you were like, it sure does. It sure does go into the negative. And I was
it specifically says right here, you can go down to -97 if you want to. Or
that's
-3 if you want to.
Oh, only -3?
Well, you can, just that's a hypothetical situation. Okay. You go to -99 if you want. You go all the way around.
I don't think that's
possible. You don't score a single point, and then you keep not getting the people demands.
Yeah, so that part really stood out to me because I started the game off with negative. But in that same game, I caught up pretty close too. And I am going into this 10x10 challenge with this season a little different because I want to play different strategies, different potential strategies or tactics or whatever it may be. And with that, I tried different things. I tried just the shipping. I tried just the map. I tried just the city. And then I tried the Trajan.
You tried this? You did that too?
Yeah.
See, that shows you how much I pay attention to what you're actually doing, because I was doing that, but I didn't notice you were doing the same thing.
I noticed you were doing that, yeah. Especially when you did the shipping. I was like, wow.
This is a shipping game.
So with that, I did all those different things, and I still came to the conclusion that you need to do at least 2 things.
On your turn. Or throughout the whole game.
Throughout the whole game. You can't just rely on shipping. You can't just rely on the city. You have to do at least 2 things, because you're not going to move up the map that far. You're not going to get bonus points at the end. There's lots of things that you're missing out on if you're trying to do one of those 6 things.
It's true. And I did spend a lot of those rounds focusing on each area, not just to see if the strategy worked, but to understand how strong of an area of the board that was. So I was like looking at the military or the shipping or the city to see like what are the benefits of going there. Is this a strategy that can get you a lot of points? And I found, surprisingly, every area seemed really balanced. I even like did some math on, okay, it takes 3 actions to do something over here, but then you get a bonus tile. Over here it takes 2 to do the same thing, but you get a bonus action. And at some points in the game I was like, oh, military is not the best strategy, because all you're doing is getting a tile, and then you have to spend essentially 3 actions to get the points by placing a worker, moving the big meeple, then moving the little meeple onto the map. So you notice I rarely went for military, but then you also, it's a way to collect those bonus tokens too. That's what I did. And there's also the potential to there's a 10-point region within the military.
There's a few. I think there's exactly 3. There's 2 or 3.
So when you look at each area of the board, within each area there is a potential to get a large number of points if you at least follow that strategy for a little bit. I think that is kind of the point that I uncovered over several rounds, was you don't want to do the same thing the entire time, but there are big moments within each that you want to try to go for. So like shipping 4 of the same goods, or getting one of those 10-point regions in the military, or moving far up the Senate track and getting that right bonus tile, or getting a set of 4 of those city tokens that get you 20 points at the end of the game, or getting a big bonus from using the Trajan tiles on your board, like 9 points, or triggering an extra bonus. So
yeah, but you found out that wasn't the best.
What do you mean?
What do I mean?
I love that. The hamster wheel.
I do feel that using the city and the Trajan and a little bit of the... You're going to have to remind me 20,000 times.
The Senate?
No, the one above the Senate.
The Forum.
The Forum. So using the forum to get bonuses for the Trajan in the city, and then using the Trajan to collect people to put into your city was my best strategy, because I would then in turn, I almost got 60 points, but in just that alone. So that's why I think it is, because you can use the Trajan to do different actions on the board if you landed properly, and then you could use the city to also do different actions on the board if landing properly. And those ones optimized your moves.
I think that is the important thing in the game, is it's about optimizing your moves. Because similar to, I noticed this with Castle of Burgundy when we replayed it too, for like the 20th time or whatever that was. But if you're not optimizing your moves, you're not going to do well in the game. And like you mentioned, taking a worker and placing it in the camp to be able to use it on a future turn. If you're using your sole action just to place the worker into the camp, it feels like a wasted turn. But if you can use one of those like Trajan bonus tiles to do something else, but the bonus itself triggers placing 1 or 2 workers into the camp, boom, there's an action you don't need to spend to get those there.
And that's what I do. And
so I think when you're looking at the Mancala wheel and thinking of what do I want to do in this turn, you may really want to do one particular thing, but does that one particular thing that you want to do yield you more than if you went somewhere else and you could potentially get like a Trajan bonus tile plus do the action, and then that action will give you something else. I think almost no matter what the strategy is in this game, it's about what will let me do the most things on this turn / score the most points, rather than what will help me work toward this one strategy that I have in mind. Almost always, I think.
Yeah. Except for the shipping. I don't think the shipping is the best move. Because it takes forever to collect the cards.
It does.
And you had like 20 cards and you still couldn't do things. You were still using the everything's different ship.
Well, that's true. And this is the one element of luck in the game that I think is the most apparent, because if you're going for a shipping strategy, i.e. trying to collect the right cards in order to ship them to get at most 20 points if you have 4 of the same, or 15 if you have 3 pairs, or I think 8 if you have 4 different ones. But I think the best way to do it is just like placing the workers into either military or the city camp, whatever it's called. If you can use a Trajan bonus tile to draw 2, then that's an action you don't need to spend, because otherwise, when you think about it, if you do a shipping action, one of the things you can do is either draw 1 face-up card or 2 from the top and then discard 1. You're only gaining 1 card from that. And you don't know what that card is going to be unless you draw the face-up one. That's a whole move to get 1 card. Yeah. Like, that is not an efficient move. So I almost never went for that. And then the other thing was the bonus tiles. I almost never wanted to go there because just grabbing 1 tile seemed like not that big of a deal to get that. And like the people demand, we talked about those. So at the end of each trip around this circle where you move this token up based on the number of pieces you pick up, each time it passes around, you flip over another people demand tile. And once Pat makes his 4th pass, now we have to meet all 3 of these demands, which the demand tiles you collect from different places on the board. But if you can't meet 1 demand, I think you lose. You lose 4?
4, and then 9.
Then 9, and then 15. And so it almost always made sense, instead of using an action to get 1 of those tokens for the people demand, if I could at least meet 2, I was good. Because losing 4 points is not better than if I can do something else and get 9. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was like, I didn't notice that. That is one thing I did not notice you doing.
It's a distraction. But if I can't meet 2 of them, that's -9. So I have to look and say, okay, I can only meet 1 of these demands. Is the action I'm about to take better or worse than losing 9 points? Because if I move up the track far and then I lose 9, it's not as bad. Or if I'm going to waste this turn to get 1, then I'm going to move back 4. So you kind of have to do this math in your head of like, when is it worth it? And I think it's intentionally put in there to distract you, because it's that psychological element of you have to physically move back on a track, but it's not always a terrible thing.
No, it's true, because you could be up. Like, you could land in the city, do 5-pointer, and then be just up 1. I don't know.
He does this in a few, like,
I know, Bruges, I noticed.
In Bruges and also Notre Dame, he adds these threats in where it feels bad. You're like, oh man, I don't want to move my rats up the thing, then I have to lose this and I have to lose that. Or in Bruges, I'm going to get this token that makes me lose all my money, and like, so I'm going to spend turns trying to get rid of these threat markers. When in reality, what he actually put it in there to do is help you find a way to not have that affect you as much as it could. So instead of using turns to mitigate that, like, do something to get rid of all your money. So if it hits you, it's not going to affect you. Like,
you're only talking about the money. There's more than just money, Dave.
Oh, I know.
One will burn your house down.
That's happened. I'm not saying I'm good at Bruges. I'm terrible at Bruges. But I'm just saying I think it's really smart when designers put things in their games where it's intended to give you something to think about that goes against the nature of what you want to do, but also isn't entirely bad, or as bad as it leads you on to believe it. It's kind of put in there as a distraction of sorts.
Yeah, I guess so. But for anybody who has played Bora Bora, this is very similar with some of the aspects of it.
Oh, the game itself feels a little similar.
Yeah, the game itself.
Like, what ways stand out to you that...
So the islands, I had mentioned this previously.
Right.
But the island is like the Rondel. It's like the Trajan. And then the priest track is like the Senate. And then there's a people, and the people are similar. I'd have to look at the board, but they have direct correlations with one another.
Okay.
But it's obviously the art's different, and the player boards are different. Instead of moving in a circle, you're placing, right? That's what it was. But it's as if you have the city as your player board, and the rondel's on the board, so it's like the island. And yeah, there's similarities. I don't know how to explain it.
It feels like it shares a common ancestry of sorts. I think I don't, without having the years in front of me, I bet these came out around the same time. It kind of feels that way. But in terms of, I know we've played Bora Bora and Aquasphere. You love both of those games due to the player interaction. How do you feel after 10 plays the player interaction was in this game? Because I have some thoughts on that too.
It's a good question. I don't know why, but this game kind of feels like a blur.
Why? Because you lost 7 times?
Okay. I was not going to address that. No.
You were avoiding that topic, weren't you?
I was avoiding it. How long did it take us to play the rounds?
Like our average playtime?
Yeah, our average playtime
was 47 minutes.
Yes. Sometimes it felt that way. Doing the little circle dance.
The hamster wheel goes round and round.
Yeah, so I'm just like, oh, here he goes, around his hamster wheel. The player interaction. So sometimes you would, actually more than sometimes, you would take everything I wanted, okay?
It's never intentional. Let me put that out there.
And then, so that's why when you started going in the city, I started to box your player in to make it like less appealing. Because you're like, oh, to now get out, I'd have to waste one of my moves to share a box.
And not get anything. Yeah.
And I was like,
that's smart.
Oh, yes. and then, yeah, I couldn't affect your cards. I couldn't affect your Trajans, like tile placing, unless I had taken a tile unknowingly that you may have wanted. But for the Senate track, that was back and forth because I would always somehow hide my piece. And you'd be like, let me see it.
Oh, yeah,
like,
you always try to hide, obscure the view of the Senate votes.
Yeah.
Somehow you managed to get those. And they can... I was looking at our scores because the board game stats app that we use where you can log things, actually is a handy feature now. I don't think it used to, but when you go to the scoring, it has like a sheet where you can put in... It has all the different categories, so it's good for keeping track of looking back. And I looked back, and there are games where those bonus tiles scored as much as 30 points in the game.
Yeah,
and you got those a lot.
I know, when it comes to bonuses and, like, end-of-round stuff, I'm really good at that. When it comes to, like, upfront things, you're, like, that little mouse that goes and grabs it as quick as possible.
Like in first route when I'm going to get into calculators and...
Yeah, we're definitely Tom and Jerry. I'm always chasing you.
So I'm Tom?
No, you're
I'm Jerry. I'm the mouse.
You're the mouse.
I used to love Tom and Jerry. You know the Tom and Jerry movie? Do you remember that?
I didn't like Tom and Jerry.
Okay.
But... I'm always chasing you, and that's why anytime you decide to turn around and try to chase me, I'm like, all right, pump your brakes, mouse.
That's a good impression, by the way. But yeah, whenever I do something, and let me get that up front, it's never intentional. I plan everything I want to do, not based on what you're doing, but it's not intentional. Like, that is just, my brain's very narrowly focused sometimes. Mm-hmm. But I did notice that the turns, or the rounds where I took something that you really wanted, like, oh, I really wanted that bonus tile. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give it to you now. You would then come back with the vengeance that we talked about recently. What game were we playing when I realized that? Was it Le Havre? Played Le Havre, and I took your fish.
Le Havre. You took my
fish
fishing
building, and then your smoked fish building.
Yes.
And
I was like, okay.
I have never seen you so angry. Like, wow. Like, you're never angry at me in real life, like, ever. But I was afraid of you that day.
You were afraid of me, as in, like, losing the game?
Yeah. Like, what would happen? But, no.
And you did. That was the game that I sold everything.
Trajan is my Le Havre to you. So you probably have a win percentage of Le Havre of like 80%. But I see Trajan with the hamster wheel as my...
Well, it's okay.
And what does that say about our personalities? Well, no. You could probably dissect that. You're pretty good at that kind of thing.
I think that it's that way because I was trying different things. Different strategies. So if I just stuck to the plan... Well, apparently you weren't using the strategy to win. And a couple of other things that stood out to me in our final plays. One, okay, I love when games allow you to rush something. Like, rush the end of the game, rush the end of the round. Oh my gosh.
And when it came to the player interaction aspect, the thing that really stood out to me, in general, I think you don't really have to pay that much attention to what other people are doing, with a few exceptions. One is in that city building area, you can block people in.
Yeah.
The second is the Senate track. You want to try to get higher than the other person or get the most votes. But then the third, what had to do with paying attention to that circle and how far along the round is. Because let's say I look at your board and I know you really need to do something. Mm-hmm. And I want to do this action. I'm going to move one marker and that'll move this up once. You'll get another turn with this round. But... oh, wow, you're too short on the people demands. You really want to do A, B, and C. You know what? I have this huge pile of markers that's piled up. Like, I have 7 here. This will end the round, which would be to my benefit. So there were a few times that I noticed that one of us either rushed the end of the round at the detriment of the other player or ended the game.
Yes.
To negatively affect the other person. I thought that was cool. I love any time a game has that.
Yeah, no, you do that to me in Azul. You're like, Azul's such such a nice, laid-back game, and here you are saying that I do that to you in Azul. I'm like, you do. You do.
But I appreciate the design style and the amount of, it seems like a lot of playtesting went into this game because, like I said in the beginning of this, you and I did very different things in each game, but our scores were still pretty close, sometimes only a couple of points apart for doing wildly different. And when your score is up as high as like 140, 150 points, in a game like that where there's so many opportunities to get points, I think it says something about the design that they can come that close. So just want to mention this couple of things. But the big question after going through the Jester's Gambit is, will this be crowned by the court's laughter and bestowed upon the Jester's shelf? Or given a fond farewell with trumpets and trumbles?
It is indeed a keep it to play.
That's a fair. I had to come up with a cool saying.
I love it. I just didn't know what you said, so I couldn't repeat it back.
Bless the shelf.
Oh my god. What? Thank you, Dave. Thanks for bestowing my shelf. Our shelf.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear the story, right? You're going to give me a little story, a little intro or whatever, a little whimsical gesturing around so I can say yay or nay to potentially playing this next game, right? Is that what you're going to do?
So I come to you, Julie, with an offering to the crown.
Okay, yeah, so I was right.
Okay. So we wrapped up Trajan.
Yeah.
And I am just dying to reveal the next game that we're going to put through, potentially the Jester's Gambit if we end up liking it. Mm-hmm. And I want to give you the backstory. And then I'm going to tell you a few things about the game, and you can decide if this is one.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Let me close my eyes.
This is a saga in the form of a board game. You are reliving the cultural achievements, mercantile expeditions, and pillages of those tribes we know as Vikings today, a term that was used quite differently toward the end of the first millennium. When the Northerners went out for a raid, they used to say they headed out for a Viking. Their Scandinavian ancestors, however, were much more than just pirates. They were explorers and founders of states. Leif Erikson is said to be the first European in America long before Columbus. In what is known today as Normandy, the intruders were not called Vikings, but Normans. One of them is the famous William the Conqueror, who invaded England in 1066. He managed to do what the King of Norway failed to do only a few years prior: conquer the throne of England. The reason why the people of these times became such strong seafarers is due to their unfortunate agricultural situation. Crop shortfalls caused great distress. In this game, you will raid and explore new territories. You will also experience their day-to-day activities, collecting goods to achieve a financially secure position in society. In the end, the player whose possessions bear the greatest value will be declared the winner. So,
yes.
I know that seemed more historical than... I mean, I could tell that kind of took you to this faraway place in your head.
Okay.
But now that I've given you the backstory, I'm going to tell you a few things about this game.
Do tell.
Number one, we have loved games by this designer that we've played so far. And this one is known or believed by many who enjoy his games to perhaps be his best.
Oh.
And then this game also has a lot of resource management and the ability to upgrade goods. There's a lot of goods in this game. And in fact, today I was unpunching it and I took a video real quick because I was like, it took me a lot of the day to... I was taking breaks to go do other things.
You're taking breaks from all the punching.
Yeah. But then it came with a stack of boards and it came with this cool organization tray where you could place them in. But
oh, that's nice.
This is the most cardboard I've ever seen in one game that I've played in my entire life. So... a lot of resources, that's what I'm trying to say. And then the other cool thing that I think that you're going to like about this game is there's this inherent sense of pressure to do well. So you actually have a player board, and looking at it, there's a lot of negative points on there. And the whole board is actually worth negative 86 points.
What?
And you're going to fill in the board, and your goal is to have the best score. But looking at it, like, that's a huge hurdle to overcome, is getting past a negative 86 score if you don't put anything on your board. So I think you're going to love this game, but the big question is, do you deem this one, based on the information I've given you, worthy of the crown's curiosity or unworthy of the crown's curiosity?
I'm pretty curious. I have a guess on what this game is because I listen to you sometimes.
Long live the Jester Queen! The court is blessed by your curiosity.
Thank you. I just want to throw glitter.
So this is A Feast for Odin.
I knew it! You should have let me guess!
By Uwe Rosenberg. And this is one I've wanted to play for years. Never played it. Mm-hmm. We've loved Agricola and Le Havre. And I'm really excited. Like, this game looks like a lot. There's a big table presence, it looks like, but it's worker placement. It's filling in your board with these cool shaped things. It's upgrading goods. And there's so many different strategies, from what I understand about the game, that you can go and do. You can do something different just about every time you play this and see what works or what doesn't.
I knew this was coming.
How did you know?
How did I know? Well, the story, you've said that you've wanted to play it.
Yeah,
I've seen it on the shelf forever. Yeah. You said it took basically all day to punch the board, and based off our shelf, that is one thick game. Well,
it's funny. I mentioned to you today that I was punching our next game, and I could see you come home, and I think you were looking at the shelf to see what wasn't in shrink wrap to try to figure out what it would be.
I wasn't looking at the shelf. I was wondering why the lights were still up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was reading too far into it, like I do.
That's okay. I was also looking for Luluman's, because when I come home, I like to give him the little Lulu kisses.
Yes. You just made everybody a little uncomfortable.
No, they're not uncomfortable. Actually, they kiss their cats too.
But thank you so much for putting Trajan through the Jester's Gambit with me. I had a lot of fun. I'm glad that we are keeping that one to play.
Me too. I can't wait for its resummoning one day.
Me too.
And I look forward to finally getting to Feast of Odin. Because what was it? Like for my birthday?
April 8th? For your birthday.
Yeah.
April 8th of, this year. But it feels like a long time ago.
It does feel like a long time ago.
This is the first of our birthday games that we got for each other. My birthday's in March, yours is in April, and we got each other 3 games each. This is our first from that lot, so it just shows the 10x10 challenges are time consuming. We don't always get to games quickly, but we like to play them in depth.
Yeah. So thank you so much as the listener for listening to us this week. Be sure to join us next week to see if I like Feast for Odin and to find out what game will be resummoned
from our shelf of cardboard curiosities.
Yes, thank you. Like I added the sparkles, you added the cheer in Jester Jubilation. So, thank you again for listening to us. If you would like to check us out on YouTube, we kind of got some videos going a little bit. If you have any recommendations on what you would like to hear about, if there's like top 5s, if you want to hear more about Lupin, if you want to hear about a certain game, if you want to find out what's on the 4 pages of Dave's book for Trajan, feel free to email us at thedicejesters@gmail.com, or you can head over to our Instagram, dicejesters, and do that there. There is a new highlight, which is known as Familiars, where I will be posting some animal photos to there in board game cheer. I mean, some might not be board game, but if I was a dungeon master, maybe I would have lots of familiars.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'd have like a goat. You're like not a cat, you'd have a goat. Anyways, so you know what? I will post a goat picture of me with my goatlings from the Philippines. I'll post it to the Dice Jester story, and then I'll put it to the highlights. So
you should put the baby goat farm we went to, too.
Yeah, I'll do that, too. But, you know, the goats in the Philippines are actually my goats.
Yeah, that's like literal,
those are literally my babies.
Yeah.
So I will share that with y'all. We are really big on animals, so there's that. If you want to go join us on our Patreon is Dice Jesters as well. There you can find some behind the scenes of Dave's take on games. I know that for these you do get a mixture of both. It is slightly more leaned on me just because I'm the newer gamer and we want to make scary games or intimidating games welcoming. Yay! But Dave's take on them are on our Patreon, as well as our side quest and some gesturing outfits. And of course, Sir Lulu has his own little collection of his adventures. And as we always say with a Jester grin, play games with the ones you love.